Hello guys, this is Mike from ICODROPS. I'm happy to announce that today my guests are Joseph Jiang and Michael Kong from Fantom. Hello Michael, hello Joseph, welcome to ICODROPS interview.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for inviting
Hi,
us
Mike. Thank you
onto
for
the show.
having us.
Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your previous experience and your role in the Fantom project?
My name is Michael Kong. I'm from Australia, so I studied computer science and finance at the University of Sydney. And actually, for a couple of years there, I got some good experience building security tools related around smart contracts. So I was part of a programming languages group that built various tools like decompilers and other software to help process smart contracts and look at the execution and to basically find bugs. So the bugs that a lot of people think about, like what took down the DAO hack, parity multi-sig wallet issue with the freezing of the funds, those sorts of bugs, we wanted to build tools to automatically find them at the virtual machine level. And I've been in crypto for a few years. So I started off with Bitcoin, and then towards the end of 15 or early 2016, I got into Ethereum. A friend of mine introduced it to me, and I've been trading ever since. And last year, I was working at a startup called Block 8, which is going pretty well, and worked on projects such as the Haven project. And then I left there on really good terms to start up a fund with an organization called Digital Currency Holdings. And we're also doing some advisory work as well. One of the projects being Fantom that I'm really happy to talk about today. And the way we got in contact with Fantom is that one of my business partners, who's a really good friend of mine from uni, Jake Choi, he has a lot of connections in Korea. He's Korean himself. And we were able to partner up with some exciting individuals that wanted to do a lot of work in the blockchain space. And that's how we kind of found Fantom in the end.
Okay, Joseph.
All right. Yes, thank you, Mike. And so my name is Joseph Jiang. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Fantom Foundation. A little bit about my background. I grew up in the United States, currently living in Korea, but I graduated with a law degree, practiced law for just a little bit. But the past maybe about 9-10 years, I've been more in the business space, an entrepreneur, startup space, in focusing on entertainment, media, and digital content. As I was doing that, my exposure to blockchain and cryptocurrencies came about maybe about a year and a half ago, when I was approached by one of my associates, who is a very, very smart tech guy. And he actually developed an algorithm for an arbitrage trade bot. So he wanted me to help him kind of run that business. And so I was the CFO for that company, working with investors for the cryptocurrency arbitrage trade bot. And doing that gave me a lot of exposure to not just cryptocurrencies, but blockchain space as well, as well as looking into exchanges. And so that's when I was really getting into and studying about exchanges and cryptocurrencies and learning a lot about that. As I was doing so and operating that company, I was approached by another business associate of mine to start a company together to really go into the blockchain space. And as we were doing that and talking about forming something together, we were approached by, or we discovered Fantom, Mr. On. And so that's how this whole discussion took place. And I'm very happy and proud to be a part of this team.
So guys, we have already seen numerous attempts to disrupt every aspect of human life with blockchain technology. And then you come and spoil the game by saying that we should look beyond blockchain and we have something better to offer. So Fantom is based on the improved DAG or DAG technology. I suppose most of our viewers are familiar with DAG, but anyway, could you explain the basics of this technology and the main differences between DAG and blockchain?
The issues with blockchain at the moment, or the biggest issue, so I think a lot of your viewers would be aware that with the Bitcoin blockchain, you can only process on average about 7 transactions a second. With Ethereum, it's somewhere on the order of about 15 to 20. So that's not really scalable. So for small applications or for a small number of users, that's perfectly fine. But for a large number of users, that's an issue. Another issue is the block times. So for you to get enough confirmation, say in the Bitcoin blockchain, you have to wait quite a number of minutes, maybe even an hour. On Ethereum, you still have to wait a couple of minutes for you to get sufficient confirmation, say about 6 or so. So with the DAG-based approach, it's about throughput and speed. So the clear difference between a DAG and a blockchain is that, well, one's a directed acyclic graph, and the other one is a particular data structure where it's basically a doubly linked list. So that's really the basics of the difference there. But why are people trying to approach by DAG? You could potentially get a lot more throughput, where instead of having to get consensus all the way down the chain consistently and have all nodes validate all of the output consistently, you would have, say, a series of different lines or chains or connections of nodes within the DAG. They'll enable you to get sufficient validation without having to get having to get every single node validating a particular transaction, which is the biggest issue with blockchain at the moment. It doesn't scale very fast past, say, 7 or 15, 20 transactions a second. So that's sort of the basic difference between the two technologies.
Fantom is the world's first DAG-based smart contract platform that solves the issue of scalability and confirmation time of the existing blockchain technology. You offer a new consensus algorithm, which is called Lachesis consensus algorithm. The fans of ancient Greek mythology might know that Lachesis was one of the three fates, a goddess of destiny who had the job of deciding the fate of everyone, including the immortal gods. Lachesis' specific job was to measure out the thread that Clotho wove, deciding how long a person's life should be and their destiny alongside it. So, could you explain why you decided to call your consensus algorithm like that and give more details about it?
It's also the name of a poisonous, fast-moving snake. So that's another reason why we chose it. Yeah, because I'm from Australia, so we have a lot of these snakes. So we're big fans of snakes down there, especially poisonous ones. So the reason we chose it was, one, because of what you just described there from Greek mythology, and two, because it also has a double meaning when it comes to the election of the snake. So the whole point about the consensus method is that basically you have, like, say, like parent blocks, and then those parent blocks are the parent of other blocks, and so the child blocks have to gain consensus of, say, the parent blocks. Each block can generate, say, 7 to 10 events. Each event can hold can do about 440 transactions. And so, say if you have like 100 node network, and you assume that each block is about, or each event is about 100 kilobytes in size, you can do about 308,000 transactions per second. So that's sort of how we came with the 300,000 transactions per second. And that's what we theoretically think it can do around the minimum. And so that's essentially what the Lachesis protocol does, is that it helps gain the consensus to achieve the 308,000. And the key difference being that you don't have to get a whole lot of nodes validating those transactions. You can delegate the validation to both parents and also to delegate nodes on the network. So we're using a delegated proof of stake method as well.
And could you please give more details, a more detailed view of the Fantom architecture and what is specific about Fantom?
So Fantom is not just the DAG, the core layer technology. There's actually like 4 main layers. So we like to call it in terms of like Opera. So we've got the Opera core, which is the Lachesis protocol, the database stuff, the lower level infrastructure that we briefly talked about. On top of that, we've got a middleware layer, which includes a virtual machine. So the virtual machine is a register-based virtual machine that's written in C++, and we've started to upload some of that code on GitHub, and we'll continue to do so at a more rapid pace after the ICO finishes. The other layer is the application layer. So the virtual machine will basically produce Fantom contract bytecode, and on the higher application layer, you're going to have a suite of different APIs, including integration of Scala, because we believe that Scala has a nice balance between object-oriented programming and functional programming, and is more easily formally verifiable, which is what my background is in, than say Solidity or other high level languages. And so that high level Scala code will get compiled through a compiler to Fantom virtual machine contract bytecode. And so it's a bytecode that's going to be stored within these event blocks. So it's really like a series of different layers of technology. So it's not just the Lachesis protocol that you mentioned previously, but a lot more than that too.
Speaking about competitors, there can be different approaches to finding competitors for Fantom. On the one hand, we can compare it to other projects based on DEC technologies like IOTA or Byton. On the other hand, we have Hashgraph. We also can compare Fantom to all the next-gen blockchains aiming at solving the scalability problem, like QuarkChain or Zilliqa. Also, Vitalik has claimed recently that Ethereum performance could be improved dramatically. So, what's your vision of the situation? Who are main competitors for Fantom?
I think there are currently a lot of really great projects out there that are trying to address the scalability issue of current blockchain technology, and everybody knows that that limitation is there, and so these projects are trying to address that, which is good. I think just for the global community, it's good that we've got a lot of projects trying to address that particular inherent flaw in blockchain. And so when you say competitors, I mean, I don't know. I don't like to think of other projects as competitors. I think in this space, we need a lot of good projects to kind of raise the stakes for everybody in general. And so for me, when I kind of look at this, I look at other different projects, not only that are DAG based, but still on the blockchain that are addressing the issue of scalability. And I want all of these projects to do well, because I think at the end of the day, the more projects that we have that address this, the better options that it'll be. And then just overall for the space, it'll be just positive, because we're going to have a lot of enterprises come in. We're going to have a lot of different projects and businesses come in to build their distributed ledger platform projects onto these platforms. And if the platforms aren't able to handle that, then that's going to be an issue for everybody in general. So when you say competitors, I mean, yeah, there's some really good projects out there, but I like to think that Fantom and what we're doing here will be one of the best. And that's what we try to achieve. And that's why we're working so hard, is that so that we can be one of the best. And we want the community out there to be able to, utilize it, accept it, build on it, to grow together. That's pretty much what we're trying to do at Fantom.
Yeah, so in terms of competitors, there are quite a few, infrastructure-based projects coming online, and you just mentioned a few. I think the key difference between Fantom and some of the other competitors is that I think Fantom is backed by a really, really great team and a lot of great partners as well. So the Fantom team is extremely well connected all over the world, particularly in Korea. So we've partnered up with experts in algorithms and distributed computing from Yonsei University, which is one of the top two Korean universities in Korea, alongside KAIST, technical universities. And so we're working with Oracle as well to help develop the software, Oracle Soul, that is, Oracle Research. And so coupled with that, we've got like a team of like 15 to 20 PhD students, PhDs, professors, associate professors, and we're also well connected in the industry as well. So our CEO is an individual named Mr. Paul An. So Mr. An, or Dr. An, is basically a computer science professor who runs a software development company called Triction, which develops all of the applications related to food technology in Korea. So through him, we've got access to a lot of food technology related companies. And we've also got other exciting partnerships coming up as well, where we're going to be partnering with industry partners to run applications on top of our software, but also to help us develop the underlying software too.
Yeah, and that's been our approach from the beginning. Is we're talking about building an infrastructure, a platform project, and as we stated, there's a lot of different companies out and projects that are working on the same solution as well. But we wanted to take a more of a realistic approach, and what I mean by that is we wanted to actually have a product, but also a use case. And so when Michael mentions all of these partnerships, every single one of these partnerships is there for a reason. It's not just to have a name on a website. Those are strategic partnerships that we purposely reached out to because we had a goal in mind and we had an aim and a target that we wanted to accomplish with these partners. And we actually have a lot more, enterprise partnerships that we have yet to announce. But again, all of these are strictly for the main purpose of actually accomplishing something for us on Fantom. So all of these entities and all of these partners are going to be helping us to actually have an end product that's actually going to be useful. So we're going to be, having our use case in food tech, which again, as Michael mentioned, Mr. An is also a part of. He's actually president of the Korean Food Tech Association. So actually having a use case and actually having a real application where people can use is big for us, because we don't want to be just a platform. Hey, here's a platform, and then nothing. We actually want to have, when we release our platform, a use case that people can follow, that people can see, that people can really use and say, look, Fantom is an infrastructure, but there are actually projects that are being built in it now, and people, everyday people, normal people are able to use it, right? And so that's what we want to accomplish, and that's what we've been trying to do with all of these partnerships. And that's probably one of the main things that will set us apart from the competitors, as Michael mentioned.
As soon as you've mentioned all these partnerships, could you give more details on some of them?
The way we got that partnership was really through Dr. An. So Dr. An was reaching out to us, a variety of different individuals and teams in order to help start up his new blockchain. So the original reason why he decided to try and do ledger technology was because he wanted to run his applications in a more decentralized manner on the blockchain, on existing blockchains, that is. But he realized that the scalability issue wouldn't make it feasible. So he decided to attempt to start developing his own distributed ledger technology, but obviously he knew he couldn't do it himself. So he ended up reaching out to a lot of contacts that he has at Yonsei University and basically build up a team from there. He went to Oracle, which he has a lot of connections with, because he's worked closely with Friction and Oracle, have worked closely together before. And he asked if, Oracle Research wanted to be part of development of a new distributed ledger technology, trying to solve real world problems, starting off with in the food technology industry. And so Oracle said they were interested. And so they've devoted some of their resources in conjunction with Yonsei University to basically develop both like the core, the middleware, and the VM and the virtual machine technologies. So they're working more on the lower level aspects of the technology. So that's the Oracle partnership. We've got a few other partnerships like with SoftBank Korea, where SoftBank Korea wants to start experimenting on the testnet once it's released. So those are just a few of the partnerships that we have at the moment, and we'll be announcing a few more partnerships coming up very, very shortly, probably a bit after the ICO.
Let me continue the question about your competitors. What position are you aiming to take in the world of decentralization? How do you see Fantom in 3-5 years, for example?
Well, in 3-5 years, we expect Fantom to be one of the premier platform infrastructures out there. That's personally what I expect and want to see. I don't know what people would say about that, but just for us, I think internally, again, as I mentioned before, we want to make a strong platform that the community can really accept and develop and work together on. We are completely open source, and a lot of people, we've heard some comments saying, hey, how come you guys haven't uploaded more things and made it open and transparent? Those things are coming. We want to do it the right way, and we want to do it in due time. And so, as Michael mentioned, we have the code for the virtual machine on GitHub at the moment. A lot more information is due out. But the purpose of all of this and the way that we're doing it in a timely fashion is because, again, like I stated, we want to make sure that we do these things right. We don't want to just put anything up there for the sake of putting it up there. But at the same time, we want to let people know that, yeah, we are working on it, that we have a very strong team that are developing it. And, through all of this, we expect to be one of the best platforms, and all the partnerships and the enterprises that we're working with, the strategic partnerships, that will all help to make us one of the premier and the best platforms out there in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and just addressing the issue of competitors. So I know one of the common criticisms of Fantom is, well, you're releasing your mainnet in Q3 2019. The other distributed ledger technologies are releasing the mainnets a lot earlier. First of all, the Q3 2019 estimate was a very conservative estimate that the developers gave us, because in Korean culture, they like to be very conservative rather than trying to push very aggressive timelines. But we definitely anticipate that we'll release the mainnet a lot earlier than Q3 2019. That was more so like the worst case scenario. Another point is that, we're spending a lot of time trying to validate the technologies and build things properly. And I also have to admit that, the sort of traction we've been getting recently on social media it happened a lot faster than we expected. So when people were asking, oh, why don't you have this? Why don't you have this, that out? It's because, our social media traffic just increased a lot faster than we initially thought. So our technology was lagging a bit behind. But we've got, we have quite a detailed white paper available on the website at the moment. And we've also got a much more detailed technical paper coming out towards the end of the month. And as Joseph has just mentioned, we're continuing to build the virtual machine, and we're also continuing to build the core layer technology as well. And there'll be a lot more detail released very, very shortly.
We expect the tech portion of it to actually speed up here in probably within the next 30 days. Once our technical white paper comes out at the end of this month, a lot of things will progress a lot faster on our end, and also things that we can reveal to the public. A lot more of that will be forthcoming as well. So I think the community at large can expect some more things to come from Fantom, and we're eager to share all of this information with everybody at the same time.
Speaking about your roadmap, do I get it right that you are not going to try to intensify things to meet community's expectations because you prefer to do everything in the right way from the first time? Could you tell more about your plans after the ICO and highlight the most important milestones to wait for?
Yeah, I think as we mentioned, our technical white paper will be out at the end of the month, at the end of this month. Actually, the Korean version should be out a couple weeks earlier, but it takes some time to translate it, to copyright it, to go through the legal before we release the English version. So that should be out at the end of the month. Once the technical white paper is out and the algorithm is validated, then after that we will begin the process of developing our core, or continue to develop our core at a high level. That process should take, and Michael can probably say this better, but I think it'll probably take a month and a half. And at which point we should be ready to have our testnet the third quarter of this year.
Yeah, so in terms of development, post the ICO, we really want to focus on development more so. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be hiring a lot more people, and we've actually got a really, really exciting CTO. He's going to be coming on board shortly after the ICO. And so we're going to be hiring a lot more developers post ICO, and we're going to really ramp up development to try and push the timelines a lot earlier. But we definitely want to do things correctly. We don't want to release, code that doesn't really work. We don't want to release a testnet or a mainnet that doesn't really work. So we're doing a lot of private validation, and then we'll push it out publicly when we think it's of a high enough quality. So the Korean developers like to be conservative, and I think that's actually the right approach, because we'd rather release stuff that we believe is correct rather than incorrect.
As soon as you've mentioned that you are going to hire more people, Fantom already has a big team, and from this point of view, it could be compared to another big Korean project, Icon. Could you please tell about the people behind Fantom? By the way, was the team big right from the beginning, or were people joining you as you were moving to where you are right now?
We had the core team in the beginning. A lot of our team members, as Mike mentioned earlier, they're not all from Korea. We have some members from Australia, so that's very important for us. So we actually had the core members early on, and our team has been steadily growing. Mr. An, via his connections to Yonsei University, we were able to bring on many PhD and PhD candidates from the university to come on our team, and so we've been steadily growing. And on the tech standpoint, development team, we foresee that portion to be growing as well. As Mike alluded to, we are working on having a CTO on board, which has been one of the criticisms that Fantom has received from the get-go, was that, hey, you guys don't have a CTO on your website. Yes, that's true. Initially, Mr. An, our CEO, was the driving force. He was a visionary behind the architecture of Fantom. But we do understand that, hey, we have to have a CTO on board, and so we've been working on that. But it's not easy to find the right person. For us, we have a special characteristic of our team, and so we need to find a person that can match that and work with us and grow with us and kind of understand their vision. But more importantly, really drive the tech as well. In essence, Fantom is a tech company, and so we needed a CTO who can understand that and really push the project. And so we think we've identified that person, and so we're talking with that person now. So I do foresee our team growing, especially on the tech side, on the development side. I do foresee our team growing, and having the CTO on board will definitely help that. But at the same time, I think the other members of our team are also very important. We have core members of our team in Korea that work tirelessly, and so I want to kind of mention them on air because they've been amazing for us. And so a lot of the things that we see on social media and all the growth that we've been having is because of our team that works so So, I mean, they give so much. And so I'm very, very proud and happy to have those guys and to be a part of this team.
Speaking about people again, there is a number of successful Korean projects on the market. Could you tell us about Korean crypto scene? Do people from different projects communicate, or the teams are pretty isolated? Is there some kind of secret why Korean projects are so successful?
I don't know if there's a secret to why some Korean projects are successful. I mean, I have to say, living in Korea, being part of that scene, it is it's a very exciting time. And so, one thing we have the government, the Korean government, who was the policy was anti-ICO. They actually officially released a statement, banning ICOs last year. But that statement has since been reversed. It's been lifted. And so the environment now, the regulatory framework is kind of moving towards favoring ICOs. However, nothing's been implemented. There are actually no laws passed. So regulation-wise, it's still kind of up in the air. But we're kind of getting the feeling overall that the government are becoming to be more acceptable to blockchain and blockchain technology and blockchain-related projects, which is great. But despite that, even though we may have had some bad environments in the government, the Koreans have been very, how shall I say, they've been very aggressive as far as, investing in ICOs or being part of projects in ICOs and blockchain. And so the community here in Korea is very vibrant. There's a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of events. There's actually going to be a blockchain week in July. And so the community is great. The projects are great. There's a lot of really intelligent and smart people that are out of Korea that are coming out with great creative projects. But for some reason, the global community at large have taken a good, they looked at Korea very favorably. So it's been good. It's been very beneficial. And I think for Fantom, we do know, Korea is a very small country, so we do know all of the other projects. We know the members, we know the team. Do we have a meeting every week with all the different projects? No, but again, because it's such a small country, we all do know each other, and we want to support each other to the best of our ability.
I think it's also because Koreans tend to work hard. I mean, I'm in the Korean office at the moment. I came from Australia about a week ago, and these guys just always work. I just have to say that they always work, which is a really, really good thing. They have a great work ethic. It's like asking, it's like the age-old question, why are Koreans so good at StarCraft in the world? It's because they just work harder than everybody else, I find. And so that's why they're always won the gold medal at the World Cyber Games. So I don't think it's just hard work.
Joseph already have mentioned the importance of the community. Do you have some special strategy for developing the Fantom community?
Well, right now at this time, what we're thinking about doing is having ambassadors globally, right? And so I'm in London right now. I'm going to have a meetup later today. I was in Paris and in Berlin. I'll probably do another mini roadshow later this month in a different part of the world. And so, one of the strategies that we had in working with all of our strategic partners was we wanted to make sure we had good strategic partners in every territory of the world, not just in Asia, because we're a Korean project. We're very strong in Asia, but we also wanted to have presence and good strategic partners in different parts of the world, which I think we've accomplished. And so we're going to be relying heavily on our strategic partners to help us in their particular jurisdiction. But what we also plan to do is we plan to have country ambassadors who can represent Fantom, who can help locally with the community, help us grow both online and offline. So these offline meetups are very important for us because that gives us a chance to kind of talk with individuals one-on-one. And everybody has different points of view. People online in our Telegram community, they're fantastic. Our community managers are great. And we've had some people who've been with us from early on, from the beginning, even before there was anything, they were supporting us. And so that means a lot for us. And so, like I said, we're always trying to be about the community, which is the reason why we're working hard to make a good project, a good platform, and not just something that we just, tell people. We actually want to actually execute on these things. And so that's why we're taking a little bit of time. But the whole point of that is to make sure that we have a very strong platform that the global community can use. And part of that is a developer community. So for us, it's really important that the developer community at large kind of accept Fantom and they grow it, they work on it, they develop it. We'll have hackathons. I mean, we're going to do a lot of different things to get the community involvement in Fantom. I know people are kind of impatient; they're kind of waiting for a while, but we're almost there, and so I think our involvement will grow more and more. And so you'll see a lot more Fantom globally. We'll have different meetups, offline meets. We'll be at different conferences, talking to people. We're gonna reach out to the community because we want them to be a big part of what we're trying to do.
Funny thing is that 2 weeks ago I had an interview with the guys from Phantasma, and during the interview they have announced that they are launching a community for developers, and it's named Phantom Force.
Yeah, we've actually had a few people earlier on confuse us with Phantasma. So they're like asking us if we're that project, if we're like a a copy of them, or like if we're like a branch of them. We're like, no, we're completely different. The spelling is different as well. So like learn to spell.
I think it's a good reason to communicate with them. Maybe you can become friends. Speaking about the ICO itself, could you give the latest updates on the token sale, dates, metrics, and process?
We've completed the private pre-sale round for the ICO, and right now we're very busy. And the reason why I'm in Seoul at the moment is we're very busy working on the infrastructure. I've seen tirelessly working on setting up the website, setting up the anti-money laundering, know your customer integration checks that we want to do, because we want to do an ICO which is very much legally compliant. So we've put in enormous effort building up infrastructure which is compliant to what our lawyers say is a very high standard. And our lawyers being King & Wood Mallesons, that are a global law firm. We've been engaging in their Sydney, the Hong Kong office. We've also been engaging with legal counsel in Korea called Lee & Co. To make sure that we're complying with every rule and regulation that we need to comply with. And so the whitelisting period is going to start on the 8th of June. And then we'll have about a week for people to whitelist themselves and for us to do the necessary checks that we need to do. And then afterwards, on the 15th of June, we're going to have the main sale ICO, and that's going to be the main sale. And people will be able to whitelist for it, and there'll be a minimum and maximum contribution, and they'll be contributing directly to the smart contract. So I've just had an order completed on the smart contract from a company of mine, so not a company of mine, but a company that a couple of friends of mine own called Sigma Prime, which are very, very experienced in network security and smart contract security. And we've basically been going through that report. Nothing major was in there, but just fixing a few things and optimizing a few things to make sure that the token sale contract is perfectly fine. And the token sale contract is open source right now on our GitHub. So it's just on the token sale repository under the Fantom organization. So anybody can check it out. So we'll be totally transparent with the smart contract, and people will be able to verify that the smart contract that they see there is exactly what's going to be deployed, and that people are going to be interacting with.
Speaking about whitelisting, you have announced that the registration process will be operated by a third party. I can make a bet that the registration will not last more than several minutes. Can you give some advice or maybe some tips to our viewers? How should they prepare not to miss it?
Yeah, so our third-party provider is a firm called Synopsys. They're quite well known in the cryptocurrency space, having provided AML KYC services to a whole bunch of different projects prior to ours. So the best way to prepare is make sure you have a form of identification, such as a passport, driver's license, or a national ID card. You'll be required to take a selfie and then fill out just some basic details about yourself, name, address, date of birth, that sort of information. So typical information that you normally you normally give to, say, exchanges when they're verifying your profile. And that's just like the legal requirement we need to do to make sure that people are not on, particular lists that we shouldn't be taking money from. And I'd just like to emphasize that the data that we have on the system, it's all going to be fully encrypted using advanced encryption standard 256-bit keys. So this is quite standard. This is the same sort of standard that is used to encrypt iPhones. And we're only going to be doing the decrypting of the data offline. And of course, Synopsys has its own methods of protecting its data that we push to Synopsys for them to do the automatic AML KYC checking. So that's sort of the process in a nutshell. And there'll be details released very, very, very shortly in like a few hours or a day or so about exactly how the process will work.
Maybe you can make some exclusive announcement right now for our viewers.
Well, the the exclusive announcement around the main sale is that it's going to start on the 8th of June, 9 a.m. GMT time plus zero, and it's going to last for 4 days and close off on the 12th of June GMT plus zero. And then we're going to spend a couple of days making sure that we can push all the whitelisted addresses to the smart contract, do some final checking, and then the smart contract token sale will open on the 15th of June GMT time plus zero. And so people will be able to contribute then, and the final details related to the contribution and how it will be structured, along with the whitelisting process, will be released very, very shortly. The reason I can't give the full details yet is because we're just doing some final checks with the lawyers to make sure that the process that we want to follow is a very, very legally compliant process. So people should just be a bit patient. I know Telegram is blowing up at the moment, but just hold on for just a little bit more while, and all the details will be released very, very shortly.
Are there any questions I didn't ask but you would like to answer? I mean, something you want to speak about but didn't have a chance to.
Well, I mean, I guess my final comment is I just wanted to kind of thank the community out there for their interest and support in Fantom. Obviously, initially, to be honest with you, our initial response from everyone was we didn't expect such a great response. We knew we had a good project and we knew we had a good team, but despite the fact that when we opened up our website, we didn't even have a white paper on there, and we didn't have team members with LinkedIn profiles and things of that sort. Despite all of those limitations, people still supported our project, and so for that, we're very thankful to everyone. And again, that's why our focus is really to give back. It's really about the community, because it's because of their support that we are where we are. And so thank you to everyone, and we just hope that they can be a little bit more patient as we kind of get everything straight here. But I think we'll have something very exciting for everybody to be a part of. And so I'm personally very excited about it. And thank you for having us, Mike. It's been a pleasure to talk with you and your audience.
Yep, and I'd just like to make some final comments to echo what Joseph just said, which is, I really want to thank the community at the moment. It's been amazing the support they've shown us, and it was quite incredible, because I didn't really expect it either, and it happened a lot faster than I thought it initially would, to such a great extent. I also want to give a lot of thanks to the community managers, or the admins that we have day and night. In particular, there's an individual who joined our project very early on, when we only had like 100 or so people in the Telegram group, called Michael Chen. And I just want to give a special shout out to him, because right now, he's answering queries on Telegram. Sometimes people give him a very hard time, but he's always there, incredible, like 15, 16 hours a day, just constantly answering people's messages. He never gets angry. People give him such a hard time sometimes, but our admins, I think, all take it with a chin up, and they all, work hard and answer as best they can, and are always very, very polite to the community. And I think, in all honesty, if we had admins that were, a lot more aggressive, or community managers just banning people who said the slightest thing about our project that we didn't like, then I think our community would have just, left us entirely. So I really think that having great community managers is absolutely essential to build a great community. And because we've been lucky to have such great community managers, I think the community is very happy about that. And I just wanted to say that, as a final word. And also to thank you, Mike, for having us on the show. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's quite a rare opportunity, in my opinion.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot, Michael. Thanks a lot, Joseph. It was a pleasure to have you here. Let me wish all the best to Fantom project from ICODROPS team. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell button, and you will never miss next video. Have a nice day, and goodbye.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.